there is nothing, and I mean there is nothing like getting out and playing in front of people, even if it's only two people. It could be 20 people, it could be 200.
Well, welcome to C21 Drive Time, everyone, Lloydminster's real estate podcast. Today we have a very special guest joining us, the incredibly talented Mr. country music star, Mr. Brett Kissel, with an impressive track record of 3-time platinum and 2-time gold certified albums, 10 gold singles, 16-time top 10 radio hits. He's made a name for himself in the country music scene. Despite the challenges of 2020, he's continued to produce hit songs, win awards, and cementing his status as one of Canada's most beloved entertainers. We're thrilled to have him join us today to discuss his latest project, including his upcoming album, The Compass Project. We'll also talk about his concert at the Vic Juba Theatre in Lloydminster coming up soon. So sit back, relax, and get ready for an insightful and entertaining conversation with Mr. Brett Kissel. Wow, that's a lot of words.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just awesome that you invited me. I thought maybe we were going to be talking about land prices and real estate prices.
Well, we can do some of that
like
too
that.
if
I
you
mean,
want.
we could. I mean, it's always good to be educated about what's going on, especially in Lloyd, which has a lot of great farmland around there. But yeah, no, I'm very, very excited about our show. It's interesting because everyone thought for a long time it was at the Vic Juba Theatre. It was the Vic Juba Theatre that is putting on a concert and hiring me to do a big event, but we're actually holding it at the X. So Vic Juba presents the show, but it is at the Lloydminster X.
I'll have to correct that.
So make sure all your listeners and all your followers know that Vic Juba gets the credit for putting on the party, but X is where we're holding it.
So we're going to go head back to your roots a little bit here, Brett. Obviously, you're from the area, growing up in St. Paul or around the St. Paul area. Yeah. What got you into? How did you discover music, and what got you into making it?
You know what? Music was always around me, but it wasn't necessarily from family members playing. You know, there's a lot of stories and a lot of conversations you'll have with many artists who had a parent or, you know, grandma and grandpa or an uncle who played guitar. No one in my family was musical. That's what was so unique about the fact that I, you know, took a deep dive into country music. I was just always listening to the radio. I would sit on my grandpa's lap where we'd be driving the tractor and hauling bales or combining or whatever. And there was a radio station called CFCW that played a lot of classics and, of course, a lot of the new stuff. And I'd come in for lunch as a 3 or 4-year-old as my grandparents took care of me, as my parents were teachers. But my grandma and my grandpa, they would take care of me, and we would listen to a lot of old records too. And Meemaw had a stack of records of Charlie Pride and Johnny Cash. And I mean, I'm at 4 years old. I didn't know that Johnny Cash was music of the 50s.
Right.
I thought it was today's music. So when I got my first guitar, I started to learn I Walk the Line to impress my grandparents. And it was the rest of the community that's like, this is so cool that a 7-year-old is playing Johnny Cash music from 1955.
That's neat.
So that was me. I just always had music surrounding me and around me, and I just always wanted to play so that maybe one day I could be on the radio too.
Neat. So that was kind of an early sign then that this is where you wanted to maybe go with life.
Yeah, and you know, like every Canadian kid, I played hockey, you know, as a kid, but my Meemaw got me a guitar for Christmas, and my parents were all too happy to, you know, drive me around to go perform at rodeos or talent shows in warm theaters across Alberta instead of cold hockey arenas at 6 a.m. So I think they were happy that I was gravitating more towards music than I was to our beloved game of hockey.
Neat. So what would you say has been your hardest song to write?
There's many, and every song has a lot of difficulties because I definitely suffer from writer's block, and something that, you know, one of my co-writers looked at me and said that I really do get paralysis from analysis. I just overanalyze a word or a phrase or what it could mean or what it could be taken as. You know, before I was always trying to fight for the right word and to tell the right story and not sound dumb or anything like that. But now I have to be very, very careful that maybe what I'm saying in the year 2023 is not going to be, you know, looked at under a microscope. I was writing this song about my childhood, and and I don't know if it'll ever see the light of day, but I was talking about shooting gophers,
Right.
and how much I really enjoyed doing that
Yeah.
with my grandpa. You get out, on the 22 with your 22, and you go shoot gophers in a field. Well, number one, when you're 8 years old, should you have a 22 in your hands? Like, am I going to get my grandpa thrown in jail? And number two, I mean, is the woke left going to be upset with me that I'm, shooting gophers in this world for all of God's creation? And then I'm thinking, well, hold it. I said God. What about all the other religions?
Right.
Am I going to get in trouble for even saying that? Like, now I overanalyze that. So songwriting isn't easy anymore. You used to be able to say, I want to drink beer on a Friday night and chase girls and, say, hey, pretty girl, won't you look my way? And then someone says, why are you saying that? Why are you sexualizing women? It's like, I'm just trying to write a country song here. Leave me alone. So country music isn't easy like it used to be 10 years ago.
Fair enough. So I was going to ask you that if you take a bunch of your, your own personal experiences, add them to your songs, and I would say you probably do. But yeah, I could see where you're saying it's difficult
all the time
to do that now. Yeah.
Well, you just have to be careful about what stories I'm willing to reveal. If you and I were having a beer, at 10:30 at night around a campfire, boy, do we ever have some stories about just all the fun, So my buddies who play hockey, I can just tell, like, if you and I had a red Solo cup in our hands, like we could have a good time.
It'd be
but
a good
at
time.
the same time, now as a songwriter, I got to be careful because people get on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, and I got to be on my double best behavior.
Fair enough. I always say I'm really glad there's no social media back in the day when I was a kid doing stupid stuff, because wow, we'd have been in a lot of trouble.
You know what? It was so funny. I was talking with my kids, just a couple days ago, and one of the words that we don't allow our kids to use in especially living on the farm is never let me catch you say you're bored.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're bored, I'm going to put you to work.
100%.
If it's the winter, if you're bored, we're going to go shovel snow.
Yep.
And if it's summertime, okay, we got Tony the pony, and we're going to go shovel after him, put it in a wheelbarrow, and put that grade A manure in the garden. You know what I mean? Like, but I said, my kids asked me, like, what was my favorite game to play when I was a kid, when I was their age. And I said, if I had a stick and a whole afternoon to spend in the woods, there was nothing I couldn't do. I could build a tree fort. I could fight off the bad guys. I could go and discover. And like, my favorite toy was a stick, and my kids just roll their eyes and laugh at me. I'm like, no, you don't understand. So you're right. Our generation had a lot of fun before social media.
Absolutely. So what would you say has been your favorite performance so far? I know you've done a lot. So is there one that really stands out as this is kind of my ultimate one so far?
I would say it was, the shows that I got to do with Garth Brooks. That was unbelievable. Nice. First opening for him was unreal. And then as he and I formed a friendship and he realized how much I loved his music, there were many times where he would call me up in the middle of the show and I'd get to sing some of my favorite songs with him,
Nice.
Standing next to my hero. It's like if Wayne Gretzky, you idolize Wayne Gretzky, and he says, you know what, we're going to bring you up to the first line and I'm going to be in my office behind the net and I'm going to let you have a couple overtime goals.
Yeah. Nice.
You know what I mean? So I got to sing Call in Baton Rouge quite a few times with Garth, and one moment in Regina at Mosaic Stadium as he was opening up the stadium, 55,000 people, and we sang Friends in Low Places together. Nice. Like one of the most recognizable country songs of all time.
Absolutely. Iconic.
And he and I have our guitars and his amazing band and 55,000 screaming Rider fans. And we're singing, blame it all on my roots. I've showed up in boots. And 55,000 sing along with me. I'll never forget that as long as I live. Yeah. So
kind of back, I guess, with regards to the shows then, do you have any pre-show rituals you like to take part in?
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of things I'll do with the band. I mean, just simple little things from my tour manager, handing me the laptop and saying, okay, now that you got the lay of the land and because I won't make a set list until I've looked out to see the crowd and see what the crowd looks like. Okay. Because if I look out and I'm like, wow, this crowd is a lot older than I anticipated. There's a lot of moms and dads here. There's a lot of grandmas and grandpas here. Or I'll be like, wow, this is a country crowd. Like I counted like 150 cowboy hats
Right.
Oh, okay, I can go Western on this crowd.
Right. Fair
Or
enough.
if I look out and I'm like, I don't think there's anybody older than 21 in this crowd. It is like a university frat party, like a big time party. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to do my set list this way.
Right,
So
okay.
about 20 minutes before I go on stage is when I create my set list of
Oh,
what I'm
neat.
going to play. And then, and as a band, we'll always do a big huddle, like a football, like a football huddle,
Right.
or one of us will try to deliver a Disney style inspirational speech,
Okay.
leading into the show. And it always has to do with somebody, if we're in, the guitar player's hometown or my hometown, or, the bass guitar player, it's his last show before he kind of goes on, we'll call it like paternity leave. Him and his wife are about to have a baby. So we're like, okay, you give the words. And so we'll just have a big huddle and we try to rile each other up and say, it's been a long time. Like Lloydminster, it's going to be like, we've all played in this community. We know how important this community is. It's great to come back to our roots. This time we're playing for 1,000 people. We've earned this. Let's go out and let's show them what small town parties are all about. Let's go,
Nice.
boys. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, Lloydminster, baby. And we hit the stage.
Nice.
That's exactly what it'll be like. But every show is different. But that's one of the pre-show routines.
Nice. Well, it's getting me excited. I'm a part of your band. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, come backstage and let's have a drink and you can be a part of that huddle.
I'd love to. So what advice would you give then to young up and coming musicians? I mean, you've been doing this for a while now, so you must have some, some thoughts or opinions you could, lay out for maybe a new up and comer.
Well, it's changed over the years. If you asked me this 5 years ago, it would be different than how I would answer it today, because social media is so important,
right,
and because people are getting discovered on TikTok and stuff like that. A lot of people think that is really the only way to get noticed. And even though it's an incredible tool, there is nothing, and I mean there is nothing like getting out and playing in front of people, even if it's only 2 people. Right. It could be 20 people, it could be 200. Getting out and playing and honing your craft is something that a lot of artists don't really do that much. And then the next step to that is a lot of artists will say, but there's not a lot of places to play. Well, don't treat that as an excuse. Figure it out. Be an entrepreneur. Create places to play. Call up, your realty office, yeah, and say, I'm not sure, this might be a wild one, but I'm not sure what you're doing this year for a Christmas party. But if you're going to bring everybody in to such and such restaurant, or maybe you're going to rent a community hall and have an old school dinner, I would love to put my name in the hat and perform for you. It won't cost you that much, but a little live music I think would be really great for your staff. I would cold call businesses in Bonnyville and St. Paul when I was 12 years old. Really? There was charm to that, having a 12-year-old pulling the CEO of Extreme Oil Field, or B&R Eccles Transport, yeah, or I don't know, Bob's Welding or Jim's Trucking or, Sally's Salon. I would call them all.
Neat.
And that's how you also develop a bit of not a fan base, but a support base.
Right.
And before you know it, I'm 13 years old, or I'm 15 years old, and I've put in my 10,000 hours, right, So it's a different generation. I get it. There's not a lot of jamborees. Even if you're 18, you can't go play the bars like guys used to in the 90s. Right. But don't treat that as an excuse. Figure it out. Work hard and go out and play.
That's awesome advice. I think that applies to so many things. So that's perfect. So you mentioned Garth. I know you've worked with Garth. Who's left on kind of the ultimate hit list, so to speak, for Brett to work with?
Well, I was just talking to my manager about it.
Please say her straight.
It's 100%. It's the king. We want to figure out a way to do something with the king, George Strait.
Really? We
don't know what it'll be, but it is George Strait at the top of the list. I got a chance to meet him.
Oh, really?
And it was interesting. It was at a music industry event, and everybody around him in that stand-up cocktail reception, I'm not saying they were bugging him. It was just like, he's George Strait. Everybody wants to talk to George Strait. But they're all talking music, and I noticed that. So when it was kind of my turn, lull in the conversation, we could talk, I started talking to him about cattle and cattle prices in Texas, and tell me about your ranch. Before you know it, he and I just spent 20 minutes, which is a long amount of time. Like, think about this conversation, you and me, I don't even think it's been 20 minutes.
No.
But we talked for 20 minutes about cattle and
Yeah.
Texas and Alberta and land prices and, you know, how much you can sell an acre for and in Texas. And he's building a barn and he gets out his phone and he's showing me pictures of his new riding arena. And I thought that was really cool. We didn't talk a lick of music. We just talked about cattle.
Just a real person, eh?
You're just a hell of a guy. So without question, I want to do something with George Strait. I really want to do something with Reba McEntire.
Nice.
I really want to do something with Reba. And then, you know what? I was able to cross two off my list this year. I wanted to open for Morgan Wallen, and I really wanted to open for Tim McGraw, and I got to do that this summer. So what you put out into the universe, and if you write down your goals, that's another thing I'll tell young artists. Write down your goals, look at them every day, morning, noon, night, and just that way you're focused. All of your decisions are going to go towards accomplishing these goals. Right. So I still do that. Really? So I actually am going to write on my whiteboard, I'm going to write George Strait. Nice.
That's a great piece of advice. So this might be a different question than you normally get, but what's it like being married to a Canadian influencer like Cecilia? Because your wife's a big Canadian influencer online.
Well, you know what? I don't ever think about it in terms of her platform. I swear to you, I don't. And I think that she just has her platform as really just an account to help, to share light, offer a unique perspective, and to help. She, you know, with 4 kids, there are a bunch of different things that she has learned as a parent about breastfeeding, about traveling with kids. And it's truly just a tool to help. Take it or leave it, love it or don't. And she's just an integrity-driven influencer. She's not there to promote a product. I don't think she cares at all about promoting products. She just wants to share some stories and help. So because of that, I'm very proud of her stance to just help the community. And it's the greater community. Like I'm talking Canada as a whole, moms as a whole, parents as a whole, women as a whole, human beings as a whole. So I love our relationship. I love being married to her. And when it comes to products, she did actually partner with a great company out of Marwayne, Alberta, called Beauty from Bees. And so she's created an entire line of shampoo and conditioner and face wash and everything like that, that is as organic can be. And so she's done very well with that, partnering with Michelle from Beauty from Bees. So nice. Also, I'm very proud that she's kind of flexing a little bit of the entrepreneurial muscle too. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, I love her with all my heart.
Nice. That's fantastic. And you're right. I think when people are real and genuine, it comes across, and you can't help but have people like you. I think that's part of your big appeal. When I heard I got to do this, I was like, really? This is cool, because you can tell you're very real. You leave your personality on stage and people fall in love with it. It's very real and it's appreciated.
Well, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that very much. And I just feel that there's no other way to be. In the music community, sometimes you have to have a larger than life persona in pop and rock. And actually, to a degree, I believe that maybe the shenanigans that Miley Cyrus did in 2014, 2015 helped her become a bigger star. That the legend of Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue helped them to become bigger stars because they were just so out there. Country music, that's not the case. And you look at Garth Brooks, the biggest star on the planet. Even Taylor Swift, I met Taylor twice. And they're the nicest people. They really, really are. There's no gimmick with Garth Brooks. He wears a hoodie and Carhartt pants, and he loves performing, but he also can't wait to get home, drive his Jeep and fence and cut down a couple trees and build something. Yeah. Very real people. So cool. Garth is an influence for me. And if that guy isn't larger than life, and if that guy can be the most kind person I've ever met, then little old Brett Kissel from Flat Lake, Alberta certainly can. There's no ego here.
Yeah, fair enough. So you recently released the first 2 albums of your Compass project. When can we expect North and West? Because you've had South and East so far. So when we get the other 2?
Correct. Yeah, this fall, shortly after the Canadian Country Music Awards. The CCMA's launch are going to be in September in a couple weeks. And shortly after, the West album is going to come out. I'm really proud of that because that is the most country record I've ever made. Nice. And it is just pure traditional. And a lot of these songs, I swear to you, could could be featured on like Yellowstone. They're so
Nice.
country.
Well, you never know.
Never know.
Maybe they will be.
Well, I mean, who knows? At the Calgary Stampede, Kevin Costner was performing. I got to introduce my dad to Kevin, and
Nice.
again, we didn't talk anything about music. We talked about cattle and horses and everything, and I just let them visit. They were kind of having their own thing, but after that, I did speak to one of his managers, and I said, "How does a guy go about getting some songs on Yellowstone?" He says, "Well, I know a guy who knows a guy. He gave me his card, so I'm going to send him a couple songs and see how it works out."
Nice. So kind of, I do have a script here, but I'm going to go off this for a second. So do you guys still have Speckle Park cattle, I believe it was, right?
Yeah. So my cousin Mo up in Bonnyville, he runs that side of the ranch now. After my dad had a farming accident where he rolled his quad, he wasn't able to, just wasn't able to run the farm like a typical man in his late 50s and 60s does. Right. So because of that, we had to do an accelerated succession plan. My grandpa Kissel, my grandpa Winjanowski, the in-laws that we were also working with, I love my grandpa very, 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 very much. He also was diagnosed with cancer. So he, isn't running the farm the way that we were for many, many years. So instead, what we're doing is we are operating the farm and renting all the land, but we're renting it to our cousins. So my cousin Mo runs it all. And, my cousin Mo runs it all still with the cattle that he bought from us. And yes, we still have Speckle Park. Still have a couple of Speckle Park bulls and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
It's neat because Speckle Park is kind of from this area. I think, Maidstone area is kind of where it all originated. So it's neat that you kind of had that. That was your primary breed, right?
The very first bull that I ever got to start my own personal herd was from Neilburg, Saskatchewan.
Oh, neat.
From John and Dale Herbert. I bought from them. Actually, I didn't buy it. Here's the interesting story real quick is that they hired me to do the dance for the Saskatchewan Speckle Park Cattle Association dance. And what they were paying me, I realized the night before at the bull sale, was identical to what the average purebred bull goes for. Oh, neat. So I said, "How about you pay me in a bull? Would you ever consider doing that?" And they're like, "You'd actually consider taking a bull?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll sing for free. Just give me a bull." So that's what they did.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, nice. I bought a bull and their last name was Herbert. So I named the bull Herbie. And we had him for 8 or 9 years.
There's that entrepreneurial spirit you were talking about before coming out right there. So,
well, hey, one bull, and then I bought, I think 10 cows from my dad. And then after that, we had 25 cows. And so because of that, it was just really cool to be like, okay, I basically saying I got this bull for free, and I was really proud of it.
That's neat. Really neat. So we're looking forward to seeing you at the Vic Juba at the Exhibition Grounds on September 7th.
That's right,
at the X. So what can people expect from that show, Brett? I know it sounds like it's going to be a real good time, but is there some expectations?
Well, it is. I mean, I know it's a Thursday night, and a lot of people on social media were like, "Why did you pick a Thursday?" And I mean, I've got shows in Calgary on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I believe that small town people can throw down better on a weeknight than most city people can on a weekend. So with that being said, we're gonna have so much fun. Like it's Thursday night, it's Lloydminster. I believe that if people want to take a little break from harvest, some people might have their combining even done by then because they've started already around this area. Here late August. So because of that, come on out and have a good time. And you're not going to have a better time than me, my band, is singing all of our favorite country songs in Lloyd at the X. We're all very, very excited. All of us. I swear to you, we are.
Nice. Well, we look forward to seeing you. So thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you. Like I said, it's not every day. Usually I'm sitting here with one of my coworkers, and this is far more exciting than chatting with them. So I appreciate it.
Well, you tell them I say hello, and I'm, again, very appreciative of your time too. And I'm not sure if you're able to make it to the show, but I'd love to have you. And if you are at the show, send me a DM on Instagram, or I don't know if Jess, my publicist, lined this up or how this all got lined up. But if you do come to the show and you want to be a part of that together, come and have a drink, and I'll see you face to face.
You might regret that.
Nope, I don't think so. Let's have some fun.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brett. Take care.
Okay, see you, dude. Have a good one. Yeah.